I'm Maria Ivanova, and I'm the director of the School of Public Policy and Urban Affairs at Northeastern University in Boston. I'm also a professor of global environmental governance. I started the job as a director of the policy school at Northeastern now almost 3 years ago, after I joined from University of Massachusetts in Boston. So I've been in Boston now for 14 years. Planet in Action is really something that inspires and something that can mobilize a lot of action, especially in Boston. We are in a city that is a hub of academic institutions worldwide, and there are so many hungry young people who want to see not only what the problem is, because we teach them in the classrooms every day, but what can we do about it? What can I do as an individual? But even more importantly, what can we do as a society? And that's where I see the value added of these TED Talks, the connections among different people, but also different sectors. And I think collectively we can create leverage that can move the earth, as once was said, right? Give me a lever and I will move the earth. I think the TED Talks of Planet in Action provide a lever that could move the earth toward action. So today I spoke about the plastic problem and the paradoxes of plastic, one of which is that we have individualized responsibility to the max. Reduce, reuse, recycle has been our motto for decades, and we cannot recycle our way out of this problem. And this, in a way, is think global, act local. Think about the globe, but act individually in your space. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient. And so we need to think global, act local, and think local and act global. And this is what can differentiate us, especially in Boston, when we have people from around the world who come to universities here, and they understand the global problems. They can act in their neighborhood, but they can also move the cities, they can move countries, and they can move global policy. So to your point about what policies are necessary, some of them will be policies of cities. This is how Cambridge became biotech hub, is because the city of Cambridge in the late 1970s actually regulated what biotech companies could do. It was a harder regulation, and that attracted companies because the level playing field told them, I can count on these regulations. And you know what? I can actually do even better. And now Boston is biotech center. So cities have been absolutely critical. The same with companies. And we have seen so many companies in Boston also spring up because of innovations, whether they're in MIT or in other universities. And then the campuses, the universities in this city are a critical driver for not only policies, but also change in behavior. But ultimately on the plastics front, we do need a global treaty. And this is what I have been engaged in and had the honor of serving on the delegation of the government of Rwanda to negotiate a new global treaty to eliminate plastic pollution. It sets a level playing field. It sets the limits. Just like the city of Cambridge said, here's what a biotech sector would look like. You need to meet certain standards. This is what a global treaty will do. Do we have a treaty? Not yet. We are in negotiations, and the negotiations are indeed about the issues you mentioned about production. Do we regulate production? A lot of countries, a lot of companies will say absolutely not. And yet, the countries like Rwanda or 65 countries in a high ambition coalition say we absolutely must. And so a global treaty will set standards, will set the boundaries within which we can color and say this is what a life cycle of plastic would look like. It will also set the standards for how companies could innovate, of where they need to go. And ultimately, it would create the conditions for global collective action, which is absolutely critical. We have water flowing from the tap. That should be our first source of water. We should be confident that when you drink water from the faucet, that it will be clean water, that it will be water that will hydrate you. Who told us we need to buy water, to buy bottled water? It's a recent phenomenon. And yes, today we produce 500 billion bottles, plastic bottles per year. And that will line trucks from New York to Bangkok, full of plastic bottles. Today, we also throw away a lot of this. But in each liter of a plastic water bottle, there are 240,000 observable particles of plastics. And this is what gets into our system, into our blood, into our brains, and indeed, 100% of testicles tested in humans and canines alike have come positive for plastic particles. So, is it an individual choice? Maybe if you go down the aisle in a grocery store. Should it be? No. The water from the tap should be clean, should be drinkable, should be safe. And this is where we can invest. The water bottle market is expected to be $430 or $470 billion by 2030. Imagine if that money is invested in clean water. That 70 billion is 10 times the GDP of my own country, Bulgaria. There should be water fountains everywhere. But it is the government's job to provide clean, drinkable water to its population. This is why we pay taxes. This is why we elect officials. This is why we have regulations. This is why we have agencies that collect water, test water. This is why we pay for water. We all have water bills. And yes, we all need water, but that water should be provided safe to all of us. We can survive without food for a few days. We can survive with roads with some potholes, but we cannot survive without clean water and clean air. And these are absolute basic human rights.